Kaya yung sa tinil tikat Johan. Ganalchish wujin khasati. Ako Johan kalkaj na ako aye wutien. Atachta shi kanakhwe wuke. Yigawu yug. Kashatsini Atachti atawa hasa ani. Klein klingetawe stakhin. Yach. Haswu aden chak. Ya hashil kohas. Ako awe ohan. Ako adakte haswu aden chak. Talkanach kusha katalko ayewti. Ya shkatkwan hasu ani dat. Ka stakhin aya kanachawe atchsati at. Ya hin klein. Yechwaji dakhun akhzati ya haani kach. Stakhin aku. Alsech jilchat. Hin klein awa. Kijk atsu ha idachawe ichkide. Nas. Bi awa khoach asakho akhzati. Kikach inach river. Uhan kwa nadayihi. Kanadayihi. Hinak. Khatini. Kahin klein. Kajin sakho ach. Gwell. Hedgadeen chasaku. Nadayihin kanadayihin. Wanach soidech akhzati. Gwell Canada ayanach yasatkia. Yechwaji. Hin klein kwa konach yage. Kach yage. Gaat hini. Gaat awe ayikt. Hinak uski aan. Kesh gaat ayik ye ote. Ye awe wush kanach. Wuda aden awe. Yug. Kusti. Hayug ʼatángi. Ya atnane. Adat awe. Gwall wujin yug ayik at jadusa aadé. Has kutini. Uhan koa akhoa. Kayeye hawutien. Yang. Jaguksa ayaye kutu. Ya ye awe yikhawuz. Gwalli tuasaku kachana ak. Daat yug ayik atki. Kekwake. Tai koa. Ach tuasaku. Khoachi. Dasa kaishihit. Yikhawuz. Kek sandich ak. Shuhihi. Ach tuasaku teka. Wooch itchyuk atank kaishhiti. Aka wujin aya adat yug agachtulaan. Ya khana ko just dakhun. Gwash dakhun yan uwane. Ach tuasaku. Jahain kainiki adat. Gwasha kinach aya kakki tu. Haji yes. Aka awe. Suye jagachtune adat. We ye dadune ye at. Ye awe hidu asak. We verb. Aka awe gwash isaku. Ya aksani plain. Tom Petty. Ho at the kautlashi. The verb is the hardest part. Ye awe khwaach. Achawe adatawe ye jagachtune. Gunal chi shuhan. Qane akwihi. Ya hayejini. Adusa duto asagu yikhi watani. We just dagun Wooch itchyuk. Aka awe. Gwasha atina khaoti. Gled khayuk ʼatángi. Just na tu. Hain kawanik. Dasa kaishikit. Hain kinikik. Stakata dat. Warkanins. Yejene yigawu. Kunachawe gled khayuk ʼatángi dan. Oh, Yada, Kayada, Kayada, Kaya. Yuida to us, Kayada Yawaki, Kagawe, we cage, Hata Yausanak, Tadasa. Agawe, Uski Arlingit Rinach. Ja, je dat gaat. Dus klinkt Rinach, Kagacht to Ark. Itch a. Wujin, nu Kagacht to Art. Kleed Kak Rinach. Je kijken? Doe iets aan koha.
Kat.
Kan cheese. Ashke.
Kat. Kat kana ak. Kat kana ak de kuchwatin akshat zatukin. Where wustin connected nigi ha at was ku ka. Yagay hun e
Variation group. This group, the conjugation prefix
a ga wuk a has wutisitini. Uh-oh. Ade kat no.
Oh, just sugar Ak, what is it?
Yagay at chagi wutucha. Wutuwacha kunacha a wuk a.
Ashke, just slide there away, what is the teen? Itchage.
Dasa?
Just wait there, what is the teen? Kachana Ak, de Kuchwatin, Akshat. Satuk in we wushtin Kanach Niki at was cool. Kechwotusatin a itcha. Naskake? Slide.
Scoop.
Naski slide.
Scoop. Seattle dach de kuatin achsat du see. Skik you do a sak. The kat ku has du in cow de tan. Kunacht le kuzi. Du tla to tuk. Kunacht to wuk le gay kach. Kat sup. Plake suk. Plake suk. Kat kana ak. Uskat kadli di dake hidik. We kwei khositin. We kwei yak e hat kuyitini. Likudzi we kwei. Gulis cheese the cut stuck keen stuck keen kwan. Hoot gulis cheese.
Yakecha, gonna cheese.
Okay.
I do say you did qua.
Do you want to clarify how you want those put in to the slide, into the calendar?
Oh. You did.
I want to make sure, I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah. Check what ginsa, what you did. What the yakin. Kakak what he. Yada adusa, Isai, Yadir. Oops. What hataya, Yak. Achsai aya. Kone. Dasa kachshit klingit inach.
Okay.
Ach kayai. Kate. Hug. Ach. Oops. Tietli. Akaya de leid kak inach. Aka gwell notes ach idach. Nekege? Tu de kakwinig leid kak inach yada idach. Ja, je dat gewoon just slingit dacht was go. just dachun ya yidet to us a guchwa achi. Now sakai shake. Just dachun
Yádi cut.
Sheesh.
G Weheen dake hitan cliff wasapu good weight. Late car cleanup.
Yeah.
Cliff has to OT with Cliff EG Yaheen dake kakwasa in. Next day, ya kakwa ku punk that which
Well, cheese. Okay, okay, Hawe. Took.
Yeah, do okay, so I focused on each verb and just found a negative form, and then just wrote that out by to be that way, like the negative form, and then I went and learned that to be a future verb, it would usually change it to cage, cook, or guch, and be very similar. And so I went through each verb and I broke each down. So just like and then I went through each one and just learned a bunch of verbs and broke them apart, like ye plus o slash square root t to be that way. And then I went through to see and I broke down each one. I broke down 20 of them. I found the only perfective to see, perceive, huatin, and it doesn't have a future. But then I found that future falls back to a K with underline K too, future only, ye ne, to work on. And so I broke down 20 verbs, positive, negative, the form, and then the future form, and I started to see that pattern. And then I can like plug word in you know, like the fish won't be dirty there. It's swimming in water. So you can add things to that after learning each verb. And I've done 20 of those and broke them all apart. So I did 22.
Well, geez, shade kiniki. Okay. Dachuna ya yidet hotling get keinach. Chatling get keinach. I do it aqua. Geez.
Yádi, a kuch de hate. Dasa adach wasetach. Weichlun nuxi at huachai ye kakwada tla. Kakwahish. Wooch.
Gonna cheese. Okay.
Okay. Ach tech ai akagwagu u Shakatak ni yes kaken kudas kakwash kakwashne, kaken kudas, akik yes dizini, and kadayas se hidi ahu uwaku.
Okay, there's cheese. Ekecha. Tuk. Cook you on. I do it up. I that.
Kalsakji homework.
Oh,
Aksi we huna ua cook PCL in yasutat kanata gaktu in Wooch.
okay. Goodness cheese. Goodness cheese. Ekecha. When I say a teshkai yel da. Oh, kedeen a dat je jechwane ach schoon yejene. I do it up.
Yádi Cliotke Kachana Akde Khwadekeen Shagun Hit Rango Museum at Khwagut Wait Gas Shan Has Khwasatin Kajistu Achch Has Akawachakwa Huchawe.
Okay, goodness cheese. Okay, yeah. I do see you at what time.
Yaduhat Tatki Minneapolis Dak Quadakin Kin Ak in Ak Wasatin Ak Huni Wag Ki Jin Kat Takup Uni Yahasa Shaulehik Ach Wooch Kanak ʼadudli.átk. Iwasaku baby steps. Kalli yas tukanei.
Okay, goodness cheese. Ekecha. Ach, tu eke och satini. Tu eke yisatini. I do say I did for. Ah, kayet.
Just there, Akjiwu.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Gawak kakwa in se kanan. Gawak.
Ah, okay.
Yayagi kua. Shkuye dune sik. Itlat khwa in. Ega wuk we. Klegu. A cut masa duasa patch. Berry patch. Bessie told us, okay, she, haina kawanik, the place where they grow.
Ah. Kana age gwalli.
Kind of age. And then, wait, chat. At a 2 day. No, 2 day. I've got it wrong. 2 day. Dach duti. Anya Sahash. ach ina kawanik yayagi we Queen England dach they're going to bury her.
Ah,
And that's how he said they're going to put her in the ground.
huh, huh.
Itu de dach duti.
Ach, du tea. Ha. Yeah, what?
Yek ege.
Ah, ik echa, gun cheese. Yachtu an quay, katut ke would do a yish. Gwashajawe has to an kla una. Wasaku wasa ach tu wooch at that. Kashadat yuch akwatan. The tusha an tin yeka kwasti.
Bichish.
Ah. Oh, cook.
Aduitsa Yanuaha Klinket Yuchatangi Hundakahidi Tlake future tense sentences are still. I didn't really get deep into the halibut hole with these sentences. For those that were really puzzling this week, trying to do dialogue for Hundakahidi. Klinket Hundakahidi Klinket Heinach Stuchachtu. I'll share some of these sentences. Tleth Yahutin Wasakiyanuk Yanagut Gudesa Yanagut Hundakahidide Yanagut Datkasawe Shayedeheni At. That one I was kind of confused on, like, how do you say I'm going for many things? I just kind of pieced that together. Not sure if that's right, but try to get a little past the water's edge for these next sentences and maybe some future stuff. So I'll have some better to share too. But so yeah, next, stay tuned. And if you want to join me at the Hundakahidi in Trinket Heinach, you just let me know.
Okay. Ach tu asagu. Tatin ko ade nachakukch. Okay, gun cheese.
Klagu kwatu. Tashehit. I wrote them. Klagu kakwatu. I will read the old story. Akik kant kawagut. Kusin. Kalatin. I left off the in a couple of weeks. It was just too hard for me this week.
Okay. Okay, cheese plain. Adusa keshna tooch.
Machid koha.
Sheesh.
Seth chasaka. Yeah, future adat kwa. Achshe. Yeah, future yik. Yuhan sak hidat. I don't quite understand the homework assignment. I'm hearing that there's future in it. I have a couple lines from the same song I've been working on with future in it. Where are you now?
Okay.
Sasisakakwa. Gikcha Hosliach. But I play fiddle too. Gikcha. Gun Hosliach. Ejide Kakwati Sliach Iak. Chat Ayanach Tsa. Sas Chat Ayanach Ka Kuku Gagisati. Fiddle of gold I made, I will give it to you. Ejide Kakwati. If you will play better than me only. Isliach Iakei Chat Ayanach Tsa. But if you don't play better than me, my slave you will be. Wooch.
You okay? Good cheese.
Idena dot yeji yini.
Yeah, what? Ikecha. Stekatu hanige? Zukke?
Yádi
Chakuti?
ʼatángi did the same. Patterns chatin. Using zeros classifier. Achwal eich. Achwal eich. At chwachwal. Ke at kukawal. Ye yach wakal. Ye yakwa. Ye yakwaka. At chwashi. Ke at kukashi.
Okay, cheese. Askinach kwashta kuninachege uyech.
I can go ahead and go.
Oh, cheese.
Do yagu awa chas to repair the boat.
Oh.
To kawachas to tear the boards off. Kuchteyan wuji kuk, squatting back. Klauk kach wuji kich du at chende. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear this sentence or this assignment the other day, but I heard 4 sentences with verbs. Anyway, good chish. Hooch. Good chish.
Wasa do a sock last sentence with tlauk.
That sentence is to she ran to her aunt's place quickly.
Goodness cheese.
Yeah, good chish.
So yeyanaka kuchain.
For her to run to her aunt's place quickly.
Think it heenach.
Oh, Klauk kach wuji kichtu at chande.
Yeah, I was going to say klauch. Okay.
Goodness cheese.
Cheese.
Okay. Gonna cheese. Stick out to Hanaga.
I still have or dechachjiwo.
Cheese.
Yatsine tliltuch kila do tlik. Don't call the bear over to you. Intachge yeyati weich. And that one does the sculpin underwater.
Okay. Cheese. Okay. Okay. Yak how are you, hon? So let's chat a little bit about our work here. Tukane at Katliatsi. Okay. So I was thinking of a couple of verbs here. I'm going to talk about a couple of verbs, and I'm going to talk about why I'm bringing them up. So kuchshatan, I'm in the habit of something, and kuchshatanen, I used to be in the habit of something. And there's some things we're in the habit of, and then there's some things that we're going to used to be in the habit of. And we're just getting started, so there's nobody did anything wrong, everything's great. Whenever we do stuff like this, because we're just getting, it's early in the semester, we're just getting started. But what I'm going to try and get us to do is I'm going to be a little pushy, be a little bit nosy, and I'm going to be a little bit bossy. But on Mondays, we're going to try and have like full conversations about topics, and we might need to switch topics. We might be feeling like we're going to try some different exercises to get everybody talking. And so it's not, because it's real easy, I think, to just sit and listen because you get nervous, right? But it's okay. It's okay. And we're going to have lots of things to talk about. And the idea is to push for it to be a language of use. Because there is a danger that you're always just messing around with it. And then when it comes time to talk it, and so we'll just try it. So that's going to be Mondays. Wednesday is going to be like learning a bunch of doing our class stuff. And so sometimes we'll probably start with exercises like this. But here's the way I was thinking about it. We natsaklanesh kashnigi we tan. A joy has to shut the honey awa wusan ausadnech natsaklane do ichas with the she. Awa hin tach away wugu nail day. Cook jatlain has outlayech what hech watin. Yewa has our hech. Yewe yehas yawsaka. Llell cookte il qainek qoa. Cook jakek kwashtuk. We cook gistach. Yek gistach. Yeo adati tuchwatunk ya yidat. Chuoya haani wushaku. Qilqayuk atangiti. Wan qalins atine khayati just lingit khinach. Chuoya hin tade wutua ar cook jatlain tud. Qoneyuk akitan qat qilqa khinach. Cook jakek kwashtug. Yewer tuasagu yisaku. Qilqa khinach yidekakonik. So I was thinking about this story of Natsashane, the one who made the killer whales. And because he helped that sea lion, the other sea lions helped him. And they said, we're going to get you home. And it was weird because he went home, but they ended up back on that reef anyways. But when they sent him home, he was walking on the bottom of the ocean and they made like this big bubble around him with some kind of magic. But they said, don't look back or that bubble's going to pop and you're going to drown. And so I think about that because my metaphor for this whole year is like our land has been flooded with English, and in order to have Tlingit survive, we're going to have to walk in this bubble ourselves. And that means you can't switch to English. So I know we're in the habit of giving explanations of what, it's so much better to just do the thing. Even if I wasn't clear about the assignment and you're not sure what we're supposed to do, or you didn't, I said do 6 and you do 3, just do the 3, just do 1, just do 2. It's better than using, we're going to try whenever, and we're just getting started, it's all fine. But when we do exercises, to not use, don't translate for us because we can all speak Tlingit. Don't explain, oh, you know what, I was going to do this thing. That's what I was saying earlier in Tlingit. I was like, don't give us this big explanation. And even if you're just saying like, I'm confused, I didn't know what to do, I'm frustrated. Okay, let's talk about that later. But let's start, and when we start the class from this point forward, we're going to start in Tlingit. We're going to have some sort of exercise, and 20 is way too much. And so, okay, there's also like future, perfective, I was flying a little bit too much on, what do they say, the seat of your pants? What does that even mean? Flying by the seat, does that mean something picks you up by your pants and drags you around? Anyways, so it's all good. It's all good. But we're going to move towards, boy, remember when we were in the habit of breaking into English all the time? Because it's going to pop that bubble. It will pop that bubble. Because as soon as someone speaks English, we're all going to start kind of wanting to do that. Because it's easier. It's easier to communicate in English. It just is. But we're just getting started. We'll build ourselves up to it. And if someone speaks English, it won't be the worst thing. But we do have the chat. We do in the chat, use English in the chat, type it all out, just say, uh-oh, I don't know what we're supposed to do, and we'll help each other out. And we'll just, I'll be clear, we'll have more bite-sized sort of things, because we had Labor Day, and then we had the super class, then we had a ceremony, and so we also had a bunch of things that sort of infringed on our class time, which, they were good things too. Take a break during Labor Day. Have the super class. We could all see each other. We had a healing ceremony for people that are having a hard time. So, yeah, and then we can reflect on stuff too, and we can also check in with stuff that was kind of difficult. But also, I think between starting to use, and we'll figure out, like, maybe everybody needs their own, like, so I was looking at this thing, and maybe this, maybe this thing is, oops, that's the wrong one. Where'd it go? Okay, well, I thought I had, oh, there it is. So like our sheet that we're using for the class, and so maybe we're starting to type over each other and stuff. So maybe we all need our own page on here, right? So what I'll do is, it's gonna be kind of long, but there'll be like little 18 things over here. So everybody gets their own spot. So then you don't have to figure out, and so I'll work on some of that stuff over the next couple of days. Go ahead and keep typing on here, but I'll make a new one for everybody that I see. And if I don't see you, just let me know and I'll make you a page. It's easy. Or you could do it yourself. You could go bloop, and then I could say, oops. The one thing I don't like about this thing is it will not allow some of the combined characters. So whenever I do, like I try to do underline X, it tells me to explore. I don't want to explore nothing. I just want to type my own stinking name.
Renee, I suggest that the expedient workaround is to just put an H after the underlined character.
That's fine if you want to do that, yeah. Okay. So we got half an hour left. Any quick thoughts before we move back into our moving through the beginning tlingit verbs. Everybody okay?
Renee, this was a good exercise for me just to try to find that pattern. And can I ask, so I was just looking for the ones that just have that C and was following this pattern. But when we get to here, I noticed as I was getting to other verbs, sometimes they would be this way. It was like all three choices. And in the book it talked about it being contraction. I was just curious if this was an easy explanation of why there's these three choices.
I would say use the top one, and then if the word before it ends with a vowel, then it will kick it down to the bottom one. I wouldn't worry about
the word. Okay, if the word before it has a vowel, then go to the second one.
Yep. And if there's any kind of thematic prefix on there, it will be the second one.
Okay.
And would the KK, the kuhwa, would that start to be future tense?
Yeah, those are all futures. All of those, they have.
I'm seeing a pattern now, so that helps. Other thing too is just like if we could, like we did in the first of the class prior, is just like have a theme so we know kind of grounded what we're talking about at times instead of being all over. Just like we could be.
That's a great idea.
Just to kind of understand what they're getting at.
Okay, so let's start with that. Let's back it up. Instead of doing future and perfective, and maybe you've got some of these, we will end up with 20 future, or 10 future and 10 perfective verbs. It's just a sentence that has a verb in the perfective and sentences that have a verb in the future. But let's push that back a little bit because I think we need to work on the perfective in the future a little bit more, which is fine. And then, so yeah, let's move for themes. So let's say for next Wednesday. So for Monday, we're going to have a conversation. And I think our conversation, what do you guys want to talk about? I have a suggestion, but maybe I'll suggest. And we're going to break into teams, and you guys are going to be able to sort of come up with ideas. And some of those ideas are topics, how to switch topics if it feels like we're running out of momentum, and then also methods to make sure that everybody is talking but also not feeling like they're being made to. Can't make me, right? I know some of us have, what do they call it? Defiance syndrome or something like that, where you say, hey, go do that. Like, no. And then you're like, but they only say no because they don't want to be told what to do. Okay, so my suggestion for Monday, we're going to have these sort of, maybe we'll have two combined themes. So on Monday, we're going to try and have a conversation in Tlingit. It might not last the whole 90 minutes because we might have to build ourselves up there. I think our theme should be getting ready for winter. However you want to take that, getting ready for winter is what we're talking about. And if we end up transitioning to other topics, I'll have other topics kind of ready. What I'm going to do is I will use, I'll probably set up, I don't know if I'll use the same Google Sheet because it's going to get pretty long with all of our sentences and stuff. But I'll probably set up a separate Google Sheet where we'll always sign up for a spot and we're just going to go in that order, at least the first go around. So everybody has to say something. So be prepared to say something about getting ready for winter. I don't need any number of sentences. I don't need any sort of modes or anything like that. And then everybody will have a chance to go. And then we'll kind of open it up and see who wants to just keep try and respond to each other, think about what other people were saying. So Monday is get us off the books day. And you can't always, there's a 1981, it was George Davis who said, and if they don't do this, they won't be able to talk without the books. And so that's our whole goal. So be like, okay, I can use the books to help. And then Wednesday we'll use the books to like, we'll have a little bit more intentional. And so then I think Wednesday, write down 4 sentences about things you like about the fall time. Okay? Monday theme, and I'll write these down too. Monday theme is preparing for winter, and we're having conversation. And then Wednesday exercise is write 4 sentences about things you like about fall. So we're kind of looking at seasons. And so because we're in seasonal shift, it's good to talk about those things. And we'll try and be positive, not be like, the darkness is coming, right? Which is happening, but you know, we'll try to stave off winter blues by talking about just preparing for winter, and then also things we like to do, things we like in the fall time. So those will be, again, we're going to really try this. Monday is conversation. Wednesday is sharing sentences and going through structured exercises. We're going to start by doing a bunch of pronoun practice. Then we're going to move into making sure we feel like we've mastered the perfective, we've mastered the future, so we could begin moving on to other modes. And every now and then we'll just move around a little bit too. People have specific questions, we could look at them. If, as we sort of go through these things, if there's things that aren't making sense, we could talk about those things and see if we can get them to make sense. Generally speaking, unless you've done them before, don't try to reach for big, huge, fancy verbs too much. But if you feel like you're getting them, like there's a bunch of times we've talked before about habituals and purposive and stuff like that. Like to ask like who hasn't spoken yet, like you could say that, but that's going to be a negative habitual mode, right? And we can get there. We'll get there with all that stuff. We got a whole year to work through these things. And always bring your questions and thoughts too. But just to keep this in mind, when we're in Tlingit time, try not to burst that bubble with English. Right? We don't have any, there's no fines. I've been in situations where you had to put money in a can. You want to speak English, got to put money in the can. We're not going to do that. It's a very safe place. But just remember, we're walking on the bottom of the ocean of English. We're trying to sort of reconstruct our village. And you can pop that bubble and just try to break that habit. And I know, and we can talk about it too. And just remember, the chat is there. You can always use the chat and write in English or Tlingit. Juni Tlachait, wasa?
I was wondering to start this off, could you help, or maybe some of my classmates might have the jump, but I'd love to be able to ask this question, like, how are you getting ready for winter? So I could almost like make it a dialogue and I could ask other people. That might stump me. So if someone has a jump on that, maybe we could share that. And then same thing for Wednesdays, like what are things you like about the fall? That both those questions might be a little beyond me at this point. I could construct simple answers, but if someone's able to formulate those questions and think it, hey, nah, that would be cool.
Can you use wasa kuyanuk?
Oh yeah, so wasa kuyanuk, which is, it's in beginning Tlingit, and that's actually the title of this chapter that we're going to be sort of doing some of our initial work from. But that means like, what are you doing right now? And just so it's clear, like we might end up renaming that chapter at some future day. It does work for that chapter. Like, what are you doing? I'm doing this. But if you just out of the blue ask someone wasaqiyanuk, the way they would likely interpret that is as if you said, what's the matter with you? So some of these, just like wasa ituti, there's a lot of speakers who might interpret that as like, what do you want? You know, and in that kind of tone, right? So they're not great conversation starters, but it works as for that chapter just for a drill. What are you doing? I'm sweeping. What are you doing? I'm eating. What are you doing? I'm drinking. What is the prepare? How do you prepare for something? I got a way I think I would probably say that. Anybody else want to give it a shot? There's probably multiple ways to say it.
I was thinking about the nay verb, like when you say, "Are you ready?" So getting ready.
So how would you say I am ready? Or how sometimes you ask people, are you ready? What does that sound like?
Is that, are you ready?
Yes. So are you ready? So let me put this in our little shared notes here. Whoops, I keep pushing the chat button. Okay, so we got, it used to be in the habit, so now we got yange iwane. So, but that's like, are you ready? Let's see, where'd the chat go? So I would probably use a similar verb for something like this and say, wasa yande atka qisane tak niyis. So there's a couple things that, so I would end up with a wasa for like a how type of question. This verb, if you changed it to an S classifier, so you could say yan ausane, they got it ready, they prepared it, whatever the thing is, they finished it, they fixed it. There's different ways to interpret that. But when I first heard this verb, I think it was from Kehinak, John Martin, who said, yan has ausane achyen tu atiye. They've already prepared the trail for us. And so yande, and then atka qisan, you're getting something ready. So how are you getting something ready for winter? And taukni is it's kind of a special phrase. It means it's often talking about like putting up foods or doing things in preparation for winter, because that's how we've always lived. Like you got to work all the summer and get ready for the winter. But nowadays it might be other things, right? And but again, feel free to ask, and then I guess what I'll be doing over the weekend too, I meant to do this earlier, is getting, I'll put this in the chat in case anybody wants to copy. What am I going to get ready? I got to get the, I might try to fire up the base camp again and see if that would be effective, just so we could do question answer and stuff in between classes. And it's a way for us to chat with each other very easily, so that we can, if you working on this stuff at 10 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 7 in the evening, whatever, you could post something and then the folks will have a chance to respond. And then there's a way to sort of get an answer pretty quick. Because like, I get it, it pops up on my phone. And for some people, they don't like it because it bothers them. But I think if there's a way that we can sort of tie ourselves into that, it might help. And then I started using that because I was trying to think of ways we could be in closer communication with each other, both as a class and then as an entire language community. Okay.
I was thinking maybe, I'm still not sure about the structure of the Google documents, but it's like when I'm working on my answers or my ideas for these two, Monday and Wednesday, plus I have to put my old ones in, write it down, and then other people will see it. There could be a comment section, but I do think that the valuable thing would be we would getting this reserve of useful sentences that are on topics that we're familiar with, and we can learn them. So
Yeah. So I'll mess around with the Google document a little bit this weekend. Like it might be pretty big. Like there's 20 of us, so there might be 20 different pages, but you can look through it. And so yeah, I think maybe then we wouldn't necessarily, I could remove the name portion. So then you'd have the Tlingit sentence, the translation, and then we could have a section for, maybe we'll call it notes, and then another one for questions, right? So the notes would be adjustments. Like, so if I have a suggestion, I'm not going to type over your words, but I'll say, you could also say it like this. Or you might, do this thing. Because sometimes a verb will have, like we'll see a whole bunch of examples in the stuff we're going to do right now, or you'll see ut in there. But sometimes you got to take ut out of there in certain situations, right? Because if you say, at yidinage, and you might just be asking, like I heard someone say that. They say, Yádi ʼatawdana. And I say, wait, or they say, Yádi ʼatwudana. My kid was, they would just want to say my kid was drinking. But you gotta say drinking it, or it sounds like the kid's on the drink, And so sometimes in Tlingit, when you put ut in there, it has a certain specific meaning. And technically, atkhadana is I am drinking, and it just means I'm drinking something. But a lot of times, like it means I'm drinking something, woo, And so it usually is translating to people are going to interpret it as like I'm drinking alcohol. So these are some things that we'll keep in mind too. Okay. There's 17 minutes left. We've got to do a little bit of exercise here. So getting our brains back into do brain stretches. Don't want to pull a brain hamstring. So we're going to just take a little uhansu tokane yache konekach to art. We're going to start with our little baby walk here. So Gachan-san had a great idea, which was to take a look at these verbs that are all listed out in the chapter beginning Tlingit. The workbook is getting republished. Finally, second edition is going to be out in print. I've asked them to go look for money to give them away. And I think the Douglas Indian Association might be buying us all printed versions of the dictionary, which is now even more color-coded, and also ʼatángi, the second edition. So stay tuned. Hopefully I will be able to figure that out. If that works out, that's wonderful. I'm the part of Sileski Heritage Institute and Douglas Indian Association. But anyway, so here they are, expanded version. So we did this one, right? So we're just going to review. So independent pronouns. These are so a pronoun is a lot of this me, you, them, us, y'all, them, all, people, something, it, right? And that's usually most of them. There are a few others that we're not going to look at right now, but we can look at them later. But there's a few that are going to just sort of pop up. So we did these. All of these, again, to review, all independent pronouns have high tone marks somewhere. And then these are the only pronouns that have a high tone mark. They are not connected grammatically to verbs, especially, or to specifically other nouns. They're most commonly used to say, khataya, it's me. Like if I knocked on the door, adusoe, khataya, khone. That's an independent pronoun. They're also used for gusu, yadu, wedu, those ones. Gusu wa'ah, yadu khat, gusu hu, kesh yat hu. Those are independent pronouns. The other time these are used is when you need to switch the subject of something. So you might say, shukachati chatzati, huko'a kagwantan. I am shukachati. They, however, are, but it's not even however, it's just saying they are kagwantan. It's just saying chatko'a, huko'a, uhanko'a, yuhanko'a. That's just sort of shifting. And it works too to throw a sentence back at someone, whatever, or a question. Someone asks you a question. Someone asked me that. And you? If you're in the interior, it's more common to say wa'eh days. So these ones are khat, uhan, wa'ah, yuhan, huh, has, ka, at. It's good to keep in mind that most animals are considered non-human, but it is pretty common to hear them talked about as humans, especially pets. It's very common with pets. Or also
And then
just, oh, go ahead.
for them, it's kwani for an animal. If you're talking,
Us.
If I said something like
Uh,
asquani, I'm talking to them as a spiritual being. That means that's usually in ceremonial language. Like I need to talk to the trees before I cut this tree down. I need to talk to the landdaughters so that they don't come and take me, right? Those types of things.
us corner.
Okay. So now, and I'll share these slides up, and I'll do one of these things where the like slow reveal. I'm up to maybe 100 slides in this presentation. But as wherever we get to, I will export that as a PDF and put it on our webpage. I'm not going to give you the answers for the future stuff, but I'll give you all this for now. So now we get to these ones. What are these ones? Somebody explain it to me. Relational or possessive pronouns. How do they work? What are they?
Ones that show who owns something.
Yeah, who owns it or a relationship between them, right? If I say, you say my mom, that's not what, own them, but it is a relationship, right? And in Tlingit, keep this in mind. This will connect to all the postpositions, right? So like, what I mean by that is in English, I'd say above me, above them. That sounds like an object pronoun to me. For Tlingit, it would be my above. Ach kina. Oh, I just gave you the answer. Oops. Erase it from your mind. Okay, no, you probably know it already. Okay, so they show relationship or possession. So,
Sorry, so when you say the position, that means anything that you're doing, like above, below, beside, you would be using
any of
these pronouns.
relational terms, yes. Ach kina, ach dat, ach tayi, ach chande, all of them. Ach, and so that's a big shift from English. There's two shifts that happen. One is it comes after the thing, nadak dat, nadak tayi. The other thing is that in Tlingit you'd use relational or possessive pronouns. Hastu dat awe, right? But once you got that concept, you got it. You just got to switch it in your mind. How do I say it? And all these are low tone. They are all low tone. I have to ask about the vowel now. But how do I say my?
Ach.
Ach. Ye'aweh. And someone else, how do you say our?
Ha.
Ye'aweh. Your.
Ich.
Y'all's.
Ye.
Singular third person, their.
Astu.
Singular.
us do.
Yes.
Single.
Du.
Do.
Du.
It's. Low tone, not ut, So if there's some kind of like, especially an animal, a little mouse got or a little squirrel got a pine cone, something. Ye. It's its thing or whatever. A cookie, its nest. Okay. Them alls.
Us. Us.
There's the hastu, right?
Us.
Hastu. So that's the plural third person, possessive or relational. Hastakusti. Someone or a person's.
Ka.
Ka.
Oh,
Ka. Low tone, right? This works well for like kinship terms to talk about some things like Katakusti Shidzi. It's difficult to be a mother. Or you can say Katayagi, Mother's Day, right? So the mother has to belong to somebody, but if you just say people's mother, that's just saying a mother. Right? Kashagun, people's ancestry. Somethings.
At.
At, right? These are all low tone. A lot of these are very similar to the object pronouns. That does get confusing at times. If we keep talking, we will keep getting these pronouns. And we'll just, sometimes they slide a little bit, right? I'll hear people say, has to do a sock or something like that, right? And it's just like, oops, you don't need the extra do. But we'll get to that. But we've got all of them. You okay? What's next? Blue.
I have a question. Is at wakuhu at, is that some things?
At wukuhu at. It sounds like thing that goes around.
Yeah, I thought that was the word for car.
Yeah, okay, so that's a really good.
Okay, so are the ats in that phrase, at wakuhu at, some things?
Okay, so here you have at. It's wadud at. Okay, so this is a car. So if we're pull this thing apart, we have a t plus perfective. Well, it's probably third person perfective. Well, yeah. Okay. So you do have on here an independent fourth person non-human pronoun. That's the high tone at. It is all over the place in Tlingit. Shukach adi. Qanach teidi. Like at, they all become adis because they're in a relational form. But it's also a whole bunch of things that are called something at. Something verby at. Like you just get it all the time. And so that is the one that says a thing. It's something. The first one, when you say at, and this is where it does get confusing because they're exact homonyms. That is a fact. They look exactly the same. But this first part, I guess I might sort of make it into a little table and I'll say, let's do this, put it here. Let's do this, put it here. Let's do this and put it here. And then get rid of that. This could be little. This could be little. So what we've got here is we've got there and then this is around. Sorry, this is kind of small. It always gets a little tricky to do this kind of stuff. So this is talking about going around at a place. Oops, hold on. So this is the same one you use for atkhwagud, I walked around. Atkhwagud, I'm going to walk around. Right? So this is, and so that's what you've got here. And so this is the thing that people drive around. That's what it means. Thing people drive around. So then you have, in this case, it, and then you have a perfective, then you have the someone, the fourth person subject, and then you have the classifier, and then you have to go by car or boat, and then you have a, what is this one called? Attributive suffix. And then you have thing. So it's the thing that people drive around. So you do have the something there, but not necessarily in the verb, because that one is low tone. But if you have motion verbs, and most motion verbs too, usually don't have an object either. So you're not going to have ʻat as an object for most motion verbs.
Okay.
Ah.
At the beginning where you have and t for there and around, is the t have anything, is it related to da or dot? Which,
Yeah. But then there's kind of two of them though. There's a T, so there's a suffix that's a T. I need these guys to be bigger. So there's one that means at, and you're arriving there. So in that case, you could say, hit, chokut, I made it to the house. But then there's another one that means moving around at. And that's the one where you get like, atwatuwakuch. You know, we were driving around. We got in the car and we're cruising. It's the cruising motion.
what's the difference? How do you tell the difference? Do you have to know grammatically what's happening?
Context.
Context, and this one is a na conjugation, and this one's a zero. So you'd say, atwatuwakuch, long and low. Atwatuwakuch, we made it there. So there are, and this is where it does get confusing, because there's at, which is something. There's at, which is around or moving around. And then there's an at, which is arriving at. So, from the book of confusion. But you can usually catch which one it is. Like it kind of makes sense for it, where it's gonna be. Okay, we'll do objects next week, I guess.
Okay.
Elaine,
Sorry.
so the words for bird, like at wuda kini at or at kamliji at, that's the same. Excuse me, the same thing.
They fly around. At kautlayiji at. So a whole bunch, if it has at with a high tone and a motion verb, you can pretty much 90% of the time it's going to be around. It flies around like at nachakuchin. I used to cruise all over the place. That's what it means. Like, you know, like in that talk story. At nachakuch. I cruise around in that boat.
Geez, this is very helpful.
Okay.
So there around means like around over there?
Yeah, it just, well, when we put it together like this, it just means like just around. Like you can say, I'm going to take a walk. I'm not going anywhere. It's all about like going to do the thing. Like some people love to they just love to cruise. I got an auntie and she loved to cruise so much that, you know, when we lived in Skagway, we wouldn't always ask. She's like, I'll give you a ride. Like, no, I'll walk. Because if she gave you a ride, you get there in 2 hours because you just drive around. Just do 100 laps around town. But you just visit with her, too, you know. But sometimes you had to get to a place, you know. And so that ut is, like you say, I'm going to take a walk. That's all you're saying, is I'm just going to go for it. Because sometimes you just want to go get some air, go, you know. So that's what this one does. But this is all over the place, too. It's in a whole bunch of place names. So they'll say, ʼadudli.átk, the place where children are watched. That's the name that was given to a daycare. You'll see it in a whole bunch of place names. Verby, yeah, same one. And it is the same one where you go aadé, ʼadach, aka. But yeah, good. Because one thought leads to another thought leads to another thought. So Wednesdays are like super connected thoughts day around these sort of lessons. So we're going to get through all these pronouns. Then we're going to start changing we're going to focus on subject pronouns, right? That's our starting point. Getting into a bunch of pretty common verbs, but then just changing the subject, change the subject, change the subject. And your role is to increase your ability to predict what happens when you change the subject in some fairly straightforward verbs. But then also to internalize those verbs as we're practicing them. Just say, I need to commit this verb to memory so that I can use it, and I'll start changing it for person. Then I'm going to start changing it for mode. And we'll get to there.
Une,
Ah,
here's a possible term for subjects. A'dutsa wusanei.
okay. You can probably just say wusane.
Wusane?
Who done it?
Drashtish.
That could be a good name for a crime show. That won't be propaganda. It could be just like trying to solve who did it. Okay. Anything else before we go? So before
Chataya, Juan Klein, Jadechat na Uwe, Tlaika, Tliko Hasayu ʼatángi, Cookie, Udzika, Kwakia, we busy, SOK. On your last video, we nya, do Yádi, becoming do Wadi. Is it still his children do Wadi?
Do Wadi, but nobody says that anymore.
But it's like I heard it in a song, do Wadi day.
Oh yeah, okay. Yep, that would be their child.
Is that his children do Wadi day? Oh yeah, I can't find that anywhere.
Towards their children. Yeah, and it's something in old songs or old speakers, you will catch them doing that. And there's other cases where they would do that too. A bunch of those Ys were those sounds a long time ago, which then transitioned to a Y, but then some of them they would go back and forth. Like if there was something that ended with a U and then the next sound was the Y, if it was one of those soft ones, it would transform to a, like you'd say, yakuskeyi, do wakuskeyi. That's how some people would have said it a long time ago. Yeah, good question. Congratulations on everyone's hard work for Wrangle. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I had to dance for the Board of Regents. So trying to get them to give more support to what we're trying to do, which everybody is, but some people are going a little faster than others. And I just also want to say before we go, always make sure you know that you belong here. You might be feeling like, oh man, this is too much for me. But that's what it's supposed to feel like, because it can't be comfortable if you're, so many people, they say, should I just take intermediate again? Because I feel like I didn't get everything. And no, you can't. There's no going back. It's like we're all on a walk and we're all trying to get this mountaintop. And you're like, can we go back to the part where it's not as steep so we could do that part again? It's like, no, but just don't worry, because we're going to work through all this stuff, start slowly, review a bunch of stuff that we kind of ended with. And if there's stuff you're not getting, we'll go over it again. But I think it's important for the group to be together.
Did you feel me thinking about calling you all weekend?
Yeah.
As I was watching over and over again all the YouTubes to find my answers.
Yeah, and so, but then we'll implement base camp, and we'll try to be a little bit more interactive in terms of our communications with each other. And next week we'll talk about setting up study groups, study times. We hired another person to come and teach Tlingit here, Sokchege Yaravara. This is very exciting. And then we'll start talking about how to tie into a network of folks who are already advanced and can probably answer a bunch of these questions, and just have more times where we can work together as well. And we have a second Zoom room. Like this one's occupied 5 nights a week, but that other one is open and anybody can use it anytime. So I'll make sure to share that information on Monday. But again, for Monday, to get yourself ready, just be ready to have a conversation about preparing for the winter. Just however you want to think of it. And we're going to start by everybody signing up to go in a certain order. And we'll have in your mind, we're all sitting in a circle and it's going around the circle. We'll all pass the feather or the talking stick. And then we put it away. And then anybody who wants to talk is kind of free flowing. And because we're just getting started, we might not challenge ourselves to go for the full 90 minutes, but also don't pop the bubble. We don't need any excuses. We don't need to hear this, it's a habit, everybody does it. Oh, I was working on this, and then I was thinking, and you could give us this huge explanation, and it's like, just get to the think it part and stay in that. But then we'll come out of it and we'll reflect, because I don't want to disregard your thoughts and concerns and other stuff. But just do, and it's also okay. It's okay if it doesn't come out right. I'll say it again. This is my all semester long. There's no mistakes in language learning. It's all just learning. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, right? Nobody's examining each other. Nobody's judging each other. We're all about safety. We're all about just giving it our best and then see what happens. Because you have to keep talking in order for everybody to, like, I'll find some of the spots that need a little bit of work, and you'll do it as well. If you just keep listening and talking, like, oh yeah, I've been saying this thing the whole time. Why have I been doing that? I do it all the time too. I self-correct all the time. And sometimes I'll say something and later I'll be like, should have said it that way. It's all good. You belong. We're the group. The boat's already left the harbor. Some people got on, you ever see people who get on the ferry right when the ramp's like really kind of, we had a couple people, ramp's going up, they jump over it. It's okay. But now we left the harbor. So we'll stay together, help each other. Okay, sheesh. And then Wednesday, let's write a few sentences about things you like about the fall. However you want to interpret that. And then when we start Wednesday, we'll just share each other's sentences. And when we start Wednesday, just do the Tlingit part. That's going to be our new habit. And we can talk, then we can have times to talk later. Okay. Okay, good to see you on.
Sheesh. Yádi.
Okay.